G'day YouTube. On today's episode, we're going to install the Zuks Off Road My Side 1. So the next couple shows that I'm going to produce here is the My Side carburator setup on my Suzuki, as well as the My Turbo. I've got all the parts here now, and I'm going to do direct comparisons. You're going to see side-by-side footage of me going full throttle down the highway up to 60 miles an hour, directly comparing the stock carburetor setup to the My Side to the turbo. The last time I checked, the compression in my Suzuki here was showing like 150-155 psi. I feel like it's maybe come up. I haven't checked it since, but it's definitely running better. This thing hadn't run in years, and you know, if you've been following my show here, you see I've been rebuilding this thing over the past I don't know, year and 3 months. So, you know, obviously lacking in power, you gotta have her right to the floor to do 60 miles an hour, and I want more than that. I want to be able to do 60 no problem down the highway, as well as having power to clean your tires out in mud. You know, if you get yourself into a mud hole, you need the power to fling them tires. So that's where the turbo comes in, and I'm sure a lot of you are interested in seeing the difference, or the power, or even how to just install the My Side or the turbo, and I'm going to show you guys that. So stick around. Let's get into tearing this thing apart. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do here is remove this carburetor, hoses, all kinds of junk. Let's get after it. Let's remove these studs for this fuel pump block off. Just a simple double nut idea. And we'll just ready this piece here and stick it. I've been talking to Myron back and forth here about this. The problem was this vacuum line for the brake booster. It used to come straight out, you know, straight out and high like this. It was touching the bottom of this bracket here, and it just wasn't gonna work. When you went to put this bracket on here, you know, it wouldn't, you couldn't get your bolt holes to line up because this hose was in the way. So I was talking to Myron and I said, well, what if I grind out this here a little bit? And he said it still won't work because the carburetor, when it goes on, is going to hit that hose. So again, where I live, you don't just have part stores and whatnot, and Myron was suggesting to pull this port, plug it, and drill in another place and install a barb fitting and a port for vacuum, you know, and I don't have part stores nearby and whatnot. So all I did is I took a hammer and a block of wood and I just tapped, slowly finessed. I slowly finessed this fitting down and out of the way, so that this here bracket is going to go on now, and it should go on. Myron says they don't deal with Canadian intakes. He's like 1 in every 41 months he says they deal with a Canadian intake. So I had to do a little ingenuity. I had to use a little ingenuity to make this fit. So here we go. So now we'll just a little spit on the seal and slide this in just like that. So now we put a little bit of red Permatex on. guessing you cut them off. So that's the install of my side. Now we'll go under the Zuk and we'll put in the fuel pump and the regulator. Alright, so my batteries went dead there. So what I've done now so far is I've made this bracket for the fuel regulator, and I've connected my output line that goes to the carburetor, and now we're going to connect our input line from the fuel tank. We'll put it onto this. Here, and we'll clamp it down good. Cut this fuel line. Alright, so this return line gets dropped down. I'm going to save hooking up this return line until I get the fuel pump figured out where I want to put the fuel pump and get it mounted. Okay, well, I've determined, I think we're going to mount it right underneath the fuel pump. Myron's suggestion is to mount it below the fuel filter and ahead of the rear tire, rear axle. So here we are, below the fuel pump and ahead of the rear axle. So let's drill another mounting hole here. Now I got this fuel pump mounted in this sleeve. This is positive side, this is negative side. And to get it to fit into this mount that they send you with the kit, all I did was took this mount, laid it on a pipe a little bit bigger than what fits in the mount, and just gave it a whack with a hammer and spread it out so that it fits nicely with this rubber sleeve on the fuel pump. It's nice and solid. The problem I see though is the fuel line has to do a loop, but I don't think it's a big issue. So we have, looks like, fuel injection hose, which I imagine is a high pressure side, and just regular fuel line. So the fuel injection hose will go from here to here. The regular fuel line is what we're going to fit into this fuel filter and go into the back intake side of the pump. Now we'll get a piece of line to connect our so what I'm doing here is I'm getting ready to wire up a relay, 4-pin relay, for the fuel pump. Just install our pressure gauge. I've already put on a little bit of Teflon tape on there. Really hard to see, but this line here is that return line that you got to put the T in. Here's the return line from the that boost pressure regulator, fuel regulator. That has to get T'd into there. That should be fun. I might have to let the tank down just a little bit, the fuel tank down, so I got just a little bit of room to play. But more than likely I'm not going to be able to show it on video because it's such a tight spot, so I'll try and show you after. Well, I don't know if you can see it, but I've got her installed. Perfect. Okay, so we're going to drill a little hole under here for the choke cable. 3/8 hole. Then we'll install this grommet here. Install this again. And then this, I believe, just goes in there. Sucker's hard to turn. Let's take the rubber boot off there, it'll make it easier to turn. There we go. Okay, so I had the old fuel return line, and there was another line that came from the fuel tank up to the air cleaner, and those just get plugged off. You can see maybe right here, that's just a bolt in the plug there, and the other one is Well, it's hard to see, but it's right there in my fingers there. So those get plugged off. Throttle linkage, set it in the center roughly and around, and then it goes into the big hole. There's two different size holes on this throttle wheel or whatever you want to call it. It goes into the big hole. I also, here's my relay. Still got to put a fuse in here and a fuse in here for this one here is just for my fan, but this one here is for my fuel pump. Relay triggered on ignition keyed power, so when you turn your ignition on, this goes live and then sends power to the fuel pump. Here's a 10 amp for the fan. Not sure if that's enough power. And then we'll put a 10 amp for the fuel pump. And we should be good. Oh, I know what I forgot to hook up is my ground wire. Now when we hit this, this should trigger the fuel pump. Sure enough, Myron says to set this for 2 pounds. Alright, let's take her for an easy little drive here. Wow, you can feel the difference already. Seems like it rolls way easier. How that can be. Way quicker. Wow. Crazy. Top end, it doesn't feel right yet. It feels flat on the top end. So let's get a hold of Myron and see what he has to say. So there you guys have it. There's the install of the Zuks Off Road, my side one. Fairly straightforward. You know, it takes, you gotta read the instructions and take your time and call Myron. He's super helpful. He helped me all day today, Sunday, right from morning till, you know, it's probably 9 o'clock tonight here. Took all day, but it seems to work pretty decently. I still got to make an adjustment here to the main jet. Got to drill it out a little bit. It's going flat at the top end, and that's what Myron says you want. And yeah, pretty happy with it. runs really nice. The bottom end off the line is ridiculously better than it used to be. So I'm going to be doing another video with a direct comparison. You can watch full throttle acceleration with the old carburetor and then full throttle acceleration with the my side. That's basically part 2 to this episode. Stick around and watch that stuff. Subscribe so you can be informed, you know, ring the bell so you can be informed of the next episode I do with a direct comparison. And leave some comments below, and we'll catch you guys next time.